that we get to meet Farmer Caci and, of course, your adorable adopted calves, Annie and Oakley. Today's chat wouldn't be possible without the generous support of the Dairy Alliance and the Dairy Excellence Foundation. So thank you to both of those organizations for making today possible. First, this live chat is part of the Adopt a Cow program. So for anyone that's new to Discover Dairy or Adopt a Cow, it is a free online resource that covers Common Core standards in math, reading, and science, all while using dairy to teach those concepts. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can go to discoverdairy.com. We'd also love for you to join the Adopt a Cow Fund next year. So if you're interested in joining again, or you are brand new to this and just happened to stumble upon our video today and want to learn more, you can go to discoverdairy.com/adopt, ADOPT. And when you're on that landing page, all you have to do is complete that form and hit submit. Once you submit that information, you're automatically enrolled in the program, and you'll be given a calf to follow when we start the program in October of 2023 in the new school year. Next, as everyone continues to join us live today, you'll see that chat feature is enabled. Please go ahead and feel free to keep using that chat. You can comment and ask questions, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. We're really excited to have you join today. We do just ask that you keep that chat and comments school appropriate and related to the chat. I know Farmer Caci is excited to hear from you, and I'm excited to hear what your questions and things are. But before we jump over to Farmer Caci, I'm going to see who has been joining us today. And I can see lots of you are already in that chat, which is really exciting. So let's see who our first class was that joined us. It looks like Miss Sims was one of our first ones that hopped on, and they adopted Annie, so they're really excited. So hello and good afternoon. And they're from Oak Grove Elementary School. And then we've got Miss Morris's class in Thornwell, who was joining us. Hello, good afternoon, all. We've got Jenny Moore Elementary School. We've got Mrs. Tadlock's class at Pageland Elementary School. We've got the Carter family in Edgefield. Hello, all. We're excited to have you. Miss Matthews' third grade class in Pickens. We've got, let's see, Mrs. Monroe's kindergartners in Winsboro. Some folks from Spartanburg. Wow, lots of you guys are on here. Mrs. Brooker's class, Mrs. Voigt's class, West Oak Middle School, Mrs. Thornton's class. And we're going to jump down here a little bit further. Curiosity Crew in Columbia, Clay Hill Elementary. Hello, all. Welcome. Mrs. Westcott's first grade class and Drayton Mills Elementary School, and many, many, many more. We are so excited to have you all on board today. And I know Farmer Caci is excited to hear from you. So speaking of her, I am pleased to introduce you to Farmer Caci. Hey, Farmer Caci, how are you doing today?
Hi, Brittany. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing really well. We are really excited to see you and, of course, get to see our calves here pretty soon. But I would love to hear you just kind of give us an introduction about you and your farm to kick us off.
So we are a 12th generation family farm. My husband's family has been farming in York County since York County was actually founded many, many years ago. Our children are the 13th generation, and they are a very, very important part of our farm. Actually, our 15-year-old is raking straw right now so that the cows and the calves have bedding during the rainy and the cold season. We also, on top of milking cows, and we milk approximately 125, we also farm about 700 acres. And that is land that we use and crops that we use to feed the cows. So none of our crops are sold. They're all used on farm. We grow what are called small grains. So these are crops that we will use in silage. And we put it in a big pit and we store it and feed the cows. And then we also have a small on-farm creamery where we bottle, we pasteurize and bottle chocolate milk, whole milk, strawberry milk, and buttermilk.
Oh my gosh, you guys have your hands full with all of those cows and all of those acres of crops to take care of. And then on top of that, also processing your own dairy products into some pretty delicious milk that you guys that you then distribute to places around you. Is that correct? Where are some places that people can buy your product from?
So our products are available everywhere from York and Chester County all the way over to Greenville County.
Rainbow.
Those of you in South Carolina know that that's kind of from, we have stores all over York County. We have stores in Chester and Union County, Spartanburg County, and Greenville that carry our milk.
Wow. That's awesome. Hopefully some of you have seen their milk in the stores and maybe even bought it and tried it, because I know Farmer Caci and her family work really hard to make sure they're producing a really delicious, nutritious product for you all. So that's really cool, Farmer Caci. Now, you mentioned you guys have a lot of farmland that you also take care of in addition to those cows. What kind of crops do you guys raise on your farm?
So right now we are harvesting rye and winter wheat that is being chopped green instead of being straw that you might see in landscaping. This is actually being chopped while it still has nutrient value in it to be able to feed to the cows. And through the summer, we grow hay, which for those who don't know is a grass that you grow until it's mature. You cut it and let it dry in the field. And then we bale it up to feed the cows when we don't have any grass. And I know for people in other states, that might mean wintertime. In the Southeast, that could mean July. It all depends on if it rains or not.
Right. That is true. Yeah, we definitely would need that kind of stuff during our cold winter months, but you don't quite see cold weather like we do in Pennsylvania. So that makes sense.
No. And we have green grass, I would say probably 9 months out of the year.
Wow, that's awesome. Very, very cool. So lots of grass and lots of fresh feed for your cows to eat. And that way they can grow big and strong. And speaking of growing big and strong, I believe our adopted calves are probably getting pretty big at this point because they are about 8 months old now. So are we able to maybe take a look at them and see
Sure.
how they're doing?
Sure. Let me turn around and flip my camera.
Awesome.
So that you can see them. And you can see right now they are taking their afternoon siestas and they are not overly interested in me at all. I was actually sitting on the ground in the pen with them and they're just kind of enjoying their afternoon.
Oh my gosh. Look at them just hanging out. They're adorable. So which one are we looking at here first?
This is Annie.
Oh, hi, Annie. So Annie, you are 8 months old. And so what's about how big and how much do you think Annie's weighing now that she's 8 months old?
So Annie is not quite 4 foot tall, maybe right at it now. Okay. She's probably had a growth spurt since we've measured her. And she weighs close to 500 pounds.
Oh my goodness. Wow. And
then they're hanging out with their Jersey friend in this pen. And here is Oakley. And Oakley's not nearly, she is taller than Annie, but she is not nearly as heavy. She only weighs about 350 pounds.
Oh, wow. That's a big
difference. She is not one to fight to get into the feed trough. Yes. There's been she has definitely slowed down on growth. It's kind of like when we talk about anybody else, some kids grow really fast and have growth spurts and some kids take a really long time.
This is a perfect example of Exhibit A and Exhibit B of how that can happen in cows too. Oh my goodness. I can't believe how much bigger they are compared to when we first saw them at 6 months old. They're getting so big and I love how they're just hanging out with us here. So what are they eating right now, Farmer Caci, that's helping them grow so much?
So right now they are eating, they have a specialty calf feed and then they also are getting a sweet treat of fresh chopped silage because they happen to be directly across from our silage pit. So as they bring it in, when we have a little bit of extra that doesn't fit right into the pit, they actually get a scoop of it every now and then. So they enjoy that. And well, I will say that Annie enjoys that. Oakley isn't quite as interested in it as Annie is. It might be part of the weight difference.
That could be it. Yep. Oh man. Yeah, they definitely are getting very big and clearly eating lots of that delicious hay and rye you were talking about, which is really cool. Awesome. So in addition to those things, I would assume they also have access to water all the time. Is that correct?
That is correct. They always have access to free choice water. We make our kids who usually tend most of the calves, we make them clean the water on a daily basis. And to do that, typically what they do is instead of dumping dirty water into their pen, they make sure that sorry, the Jersey decided she was going to be a little friendlier than I expected.
Oh, of course.
They dump the water outside of the pen and scrub the bucket so that there is nothing in it to make them not feel well or that wouldn't be good to drink for them.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, if you have a dog, you might know that a dog turns over its water bowl, they'll stick their foot in it. A dog's paws are probably a little bit cleaner than a calf's paw, than a calf's hooves. And so we need to make sure that, because it does get warm and they do like to stand in the water trough from time to time, that they stay clean.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's an important job for your kiddos on the farm, to make sure that their water bowls are perfectly clean and sanitary, and that way they're getting some fresh water all the time, which is good. So we actually had a question come in, and this is a pretty good question because they do look a lot alike. Are these two twins or related at all, or do they just have very similar markings?
So they are not twins. It is very possible that they do. Calves are what we call bull bred. So on our farm, we don't artificially inseminate all cows, only some cows. And typically it's cows that we want to maintain a purebred line to. So meaning it's probably a colored cow, meaning a Jersey, a Guernsey, or a Swiss. They are AI'd, whereas our Holsteins are all bull bred. And we have two bulls that run in the pasture with our milk cows, and they take care of servicing our milk cows. So it is very possible that they have the same dad. It is very possible that their dad are brothers, because most of our bulls are half brothers to each other.
Aha, interesting.
And you can see our farm dog George in the background.
Oh, yep, there he is.
Checking everybody out.
He seems like he's pretty comfortable around the cows and probably helps keep them in line for you, huh?
He does enjoy spending time with them, and sometimes you even catch him. He'll be loving on them when you're not looking at him.
Giving them some love. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, sorry, Farmer Caci. I think we were just losing you there for a couple of seconds. Just want to make sure we got you back. Do we still have you, Farmer Caci?
I can hear you. Can you?
Perfect.
Are we? Okay.
Yep. We got you. No, that makes sense. Sounds like he's got a pretty good job of keeping them company on the farm. So that's cool. So these girls are hanging out in this pen. I know they're with the Jersey friend here for now. Where are they going to go next as they continue to get older? What's kind of their next step in life for them?
So you can actually, and I'll see if I can get it a little bit clearer. There is a field of what looks like tall purple flowers, just behind that concrete piece of, it's a water trough is what it is.
Okay.
That will actually be bush hogged or mowed. And these two, Annie and Oakley and the Jersey, along with a couple of others, will go out there for probably 4 or 5 months throughout the summer, starting in June. They'll move out there about the 1st of June, and they will spend their summer out there in a pasture that is open. And then once they have matured a little bit and turned over a year old, they will actually move to another pasture that we have with a young bull, to go back into the milking herd.
Okay, very cool. So they'll get to go outside pretty much here now for out on a pasture for mostly the rest of the time. So then you said they'll be with a bull and then eventually join the milking herd. What has to happen for these ladies before they can join the milking herd?
So before any cow can join the milking herd, they have to have a calf, which means that they have to get pregnant and have a baby. And so that's why they're going to go and spend some time with the bull so that they can get pregnant. They can grow that calf, and then they can have a calf. And before that all will happen, in a different pasture we can't see from here. But once they get close to having a baby, you can see these cows down in the corner of this pasture, and that's what they're doing. They are waiting to have babies.
Gotcha.
This is what we call our dry cow or our heifer. We have a couple of heifers in here too. They're waiting to have a baby, and this is right next to our milk barn so that we can keep a really close eye on them. And we know the minute that they are starting to look like they're going to have a baby, we can pull them up closer if we need to, or we can, some cows prefer not to be in an enclosed pen. And so we will let them calve out in the pasture where they're at.
Okay.
Other cows prefer, and especially young heifers, we put into a pen similar to what the calves are in now, so that we can monitor them more closely and make sure of their first calf.
Sure. That way that they're having a good, good, easy process for their first calf, and they get to be in a comfortable pen. And it looks like our friends here are really enjoying just hanging out in their pen too. They're really pretty chill with us here today, which is good.
They're very than I would particularly care for. They actually don't mind you being in the pen with them. They don't mind you loving on them. And yet, as you can tell, you can get right into in there with them and love on them.
Oh, I love that they have such a great relationship with your kids too. They clearly love you guys and love that connection with the people. So that's pretty cool. I know it can get a little pesty sometimes when they're like that, but that certainly shows that they know who loves them and who feeds them and takes care of them. So they're not dumb. They know who to love up on.
Oh yes, and they are definitely, like I said, our kids do a lot of the calf care, as far as making sure they have good, clean water, making sure they get fed every day, and even checking to see when someone doesn't feel as great as someone else. They come back and report and let us know, hey, maybe Annie doesn't act like her normal self today. And that way we know that we need to keep a little bit closer eye on her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And the kids just keep coming.
Yeah. So that actually is a good question. You bring up something that's pretty good. If you do notice that something's not quite right with the heifers, what's something that you as a dairy farmer can do to help them feel better?
So one of the things that we will do is, first, we always make sure that everything that they need, maybe they've turned over their water early in the day. The first thing we always check is make sure that they have access to water, because calves are notorious. As you can tell, this Jersey is very inquisitive.
Very.
And she she likes to she likes to turn things over. So we make sure that they've had water. We make sure that they are not running a fever. So we check them for fevers if they're off, just like you would check, like your mom or dad might check if you didn't feel well.
Sure.
And one of the things that we have found that our calves really will help them is if it's hot outside, we will actually give them something that's similar to Gatorade. It's called electrolytes in calves, but it's similar to Gatorade in people. That gives them extra energy. It gives them extra hydration, and it helps them to get a little pep in their step.
Yeah. That sounds like a pretty good solution. And I know you constantly have eyes on all of your girls to make sure that everyone's always happy and healthy. So sounds like you guys have a pretty good process to make sure if you do need to intervene at all and help give them some refreshment that you can. Very cool. So we're watching these calves really love up on each other, and especially that Jersey. She's really liking to hang out with our two adopted calves. But we just had a couple of folks wondering, are Annie and Oakley good friends, or do cows show that they like one cow over another, or how do they interact with each other?
So that is actually a really good question. And you will find not so much in calves, we don't see it. All the calves kind of tend to herd together if they're in a pen with each other. But as they get older, they will decide who their friends are and who their friends aren't. And they have certain orders in the barn that they go in. So when you're milking them, they'll all go in together. There'll be a group of them. When they're in the pasture and they're just relaxing and laying down, they will gather together with their friends. You know, the same cow will be with each other every day.
That's cool.
So, for example, a cow named Sweetie, who likes to venture outside of her pasture, well, in about 20 minutes, her mom will come and venture with her and check out and see what she's doing. Now, both of these are milk cows, and they still will team up with each other and go exploring.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. So they definitely
so
tend
yes,
to
cows do
pick
have
a
friends,
favorite. Yeah.
And yes, they do pick a favorite, and they kind of stick with each other.
Oh, that's cute. I love that. This was a good question from Mrs. Sims' class. They were curious if Annie will become a mom one day. And so that could be a question for Oakley too.
So the plan is for both of them to become a mom one day. However, just like in any other animal, not all animals will always have a calf and will not always become a mom. So we just have to wait until they grow up and find out. Some of them will become a mom when they are 2 years old. Some of them, it may be 3. And we've even had some that they were 4 before they became a mom.
Wow.
So it depends on each individual animal. The average age of a dairy cow is about 2 years old when they become a mom, but some animals, it takes a little bit longer.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So they're about 2 years old. So the average, they'll probably become a mom around 2 years old. And that's when they'll have their first calf. Then they can join the milking herd and start producing that delicious milk that you guys bottle and sell. Now, when they join the milking herd and have their first calf, when will they then have another calf? Like, is it very quick, or how often does a cow have a calf typically?
So ideally, a cow calves once every 365 days, which means that they milk for 305 days. They take a 2-month vacation, and then they come back into the milking herd. Now that's an ideal.
Right.
Meaning that's in a perfect world. And obviously things don't always work that way, especially when you use a bull and you don't artificially inseminate.
Sure.
So around here, it's usually a little bit longer than a year. Most of them calve back within 18 months
Okay.
Of having their calf. And for us, we're okay with that because we do use bulls and not artificially inseminate.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So it's about one every year, year and a half or so. And then so what's the average age that a cow, like the average lifespan of a cow is, I guess is what I'm saying for your farm. Is it like 6 years old, or what's your average age of a cow?
So right now, our average age is actually pushing close to 7 years.
Oh, wow.
We have some much older animals than we used to, which just means that some of the things that we have changed have worked better for this group of animals than the animals we had before.
Gotcha.
Our cows go out to pasture every day, which people think that's great, but that's a lot of work on a cow. And some cows don't like walking to the pasture.
Right. Every day.
Every day. They would prefer to milk, eat, and lay down all within 100 feet of each other.
Right. A couple, right. Yeah.
And our cows don't have that luxury. They actually go out to pasture. And so with that, some of them don't seem to like that as much and don't do as well.
Sure.
But the ones who do absolutely love it. And you might take you an extra 30 minutes to get them up out of the pasture in the evenings because they're having so much fun.
Aw, I mean, it's just like humans, right? Some of us like being indoors more often. Some of us like being outdoors more often. So your cows, they've got their own opinions too.
They
on what they
do.
like to be. Oh my goodness. I cannot believe just how much these two calves have grown. And we've loved getting a chance to chat with you, Farmer Caci, today and get to just learn a little bit more about your farm and about a cow's life in general. They seem like they live a pretty easy life. I mean, these girls literally just hang out in this pen all day long and eat and sleep, right? Like, I mean, they're really not doing anything else at this point in their life.
Not unless they get out and go for a run. And for the most part, they stay right here. They have a fairly large pen for a calf because we actually shut the yellow gate you see behind that's open right now.
Yeah.
We shut it and let them have the whole spot. And we pulled them in closer so that you could see them better. But they have a whole run to go in, and they just kind of lay around and enjoy themselves.
Aww.
And take lots of naps. It takes a lot of energy to grow, so they take lots of naps.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Wow. So eventually they'll get big and strong and have their own calf and join the milking herd. And eventually they'll produce a bunch of milk too, which is exciting. And that milk will go into being processed into that chocolate milk and milk we were talking about earlier. On average, how much milk do you think your cows produce a day? Is it about like 8 gallons a day? How many pounds or gallons do you think?
Oh, Miss Brittany's going to make me do math.
You can say pounds and then I can figure out the gallons if you want.
So we average about 65 pounds a cow a day. So at 8.8 pounds.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 8.8. That's about 7 gallons.
Okay.
Wow. So 7 gallons of milk a day that these cows are producing. And one day our adopted calves will be producing too, which will be 7 gallons of milk a day. So times the 120 some cows that you have, times 7 gallons a day. No wonder you guys process milk every single day.
We do.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Well, Farmer Caci, this has been a lot of fun getting to chat with you. And as we're wrapping up here today, I did just have one more question for you. These girls don't just stay happy and, healthy all day long. by chance. This is something that you and your family and your husband take a lot of pride and joy in, and a lot of time to make sure that these girls are well taken care of. You raise really, incredibly nutritious crops. You're working around the clock. It's a lot of work. We're really thankful because your milk is delicious, but it's a lot of work. So I'd love to know what your why is behind choosing to be a dairy farmer and working, doing this job.
So, well, you can see part of our why in the background. It is very important to us. Why we are dairy farmers is because this is not actually what either my husband or I grew up doing. We both were involved in agriculture, but I grew up in Georgia and around beef cows and cotton and corn and peanuts. And my husband grew up with beef cows and hay and hogs. When we got married, well, I guess before we got married, he decided that he really wanted to milk cows, and we got married. And then 15 days later, we started milking cows because he wanted something that, yeah, it was a fun time. He wanted something that, one, would allow our children the opportunity to continue farming. And while beef cows are a wonderful opportunity where we're at, the ability to continue that as your sole income can be a little difficult. Milk cows allow you to generate and support a family just on that. But more importantly, he wanted to continue a legacy in our family that had been going on for generations.
Yeah.
And he wanted to provide our community with a safe and wholesome, nutritious product that isn't as easily accessible as you would think it would be to get locally.
Right.
And so it was very important to us to continue a tradition in our family, to provide for our community, and to care for our cows, because if you've had beef cows, they're not usually quite as lovable as dairy cows.
Right.
We handle the dairy cows twice a day, every day, 365 days a year. Mm-hmm. They become just as much a part of our family as our dog does.
Yeah.
Our kids can tell you who our favorite cows are and who our not so favorite cows are. So we have lots of fun. This is the only way I could imagine to raise our family, because we do this all together. If it wasn't for our children, we might be a little lost.
Yeah.
They help a lot, and we greatly appreciate that.
Oh my goodness. I love that. I love that you guys are doing this truly for just so many reasons. And it is a lifestyle for you. It's a choice, and it's a love of labor because you love your family, but then also providing for your community and the world a very nutritious product, like you said. It really is not as readily available as some people would like to think it is, especially if we're in areas that we're lucky to have it all the time. So thank you so much for being one of those local farms who takes really good care of their cows, puts out a really fresh product, and then even processes it and turns it around within 48 hours. And it is on those shelves for people to purchase and enjoy. So thank you so much for choosing to be dairy farmers. And it was great getting to see your kids and getting to say hello to them. I know every now and then we'd see them sneak in some photos too. So it was fun getting to see them too. But truly, thank you so much for being an amazing host farm in this program, but just also a dairy farmer. And it's really great to be able to have a connection to a real farm when we're buying our milk off the shelves, knowing that it's coming from farms like you. So it's really great. Thank you so much, Farmer Caci. And thank you all for being in the program. We could not be more excited to have you, and we really hope that you all will come back and do this again next year. We will have some returning farms, some new farms back in the program, and we'll have new calves that we'll be following that will be born around the same time in September again. So we welcome you to sign up for that program again. We'll start in October, just like we did this past year, and it's free. So we welcome you to join it and find out just where your food comes from, because because it doesn't come from the grocery store. It comes from awesome farmers like Farmer Caci working really hard to take really good care of our cows and provide a wholesome, healthy product for you. So thank you all for being in the program. And one more time, Farmer Caci and your family, thank you so much for doing this with us. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Brittany. We appreciate you and all your hard work too.
Of course. Wouldn't trade it for the world. So I love this. Alrighty, y'all. Thank you so much. And we hope you have a great summer. Take